Hello and welcome to ukromedia.com. My name is Sergey Proknevsky, and today we're going to do something different. And by different, I mean translating this Russian Snowflake After Effects tutorial into English. That's right, there are so many great Russian tutorials out there that a lot of you don't get to hear about because of that language barrier, and that's a shame. So I decided to partner up with my friends over at videosmile.ru, and we decided to pick this tutorial by a guy named Mikhail Bychkov. He's the author of this tutorial. He's a super talented motion graphic designer based out of Moscow, Russia. And there are a few disclaimers that I'd like to mention before we dive in. And the first one is, I did edit quite a bit of stuff out. And second one is, I didn't translate it word by word. So yeah, without any further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is create a new folder right here, and then we'll label it lesson. And we'll put our comps in there. So let's create a new comp, clicking on that icon, label it Snowflake 2 since we already have the original one and all those settings are correct. Hit OK when you're done, Control Y to bring new solid. And here's basically the blue I'm gonna use. There's the number for it, and you see there's the color for it. Hit OK when you're done, and OK again. And next I'll label this solid BG for background, and then lock it, and Control apostrophe to bring the grid. So let's turn on action save so we can see the center of our comp. And actually you can't see it, so let's turn this layer off and then do the transparency. There we go, there's the center. We're gonna put our first point at the center, and we're gonna go 7.5 centimeters up, and each cube is 0.5 centimeter. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and then one more cube for 7.5. And to snap, it's Control Shift apostrophe to activate grid snapping. So yeah, the fill, we have nothing for it, and actually for the stroke we have red and 14 pixels, so that's good. But let's get into our shape layer and I'll show you more about it. So under contents, we have one shape so far. As we create more, we'll see more under there. So let's create one more, about 2 centimeters, and we'll snap it right there at 2 centimeter mark, and we'll go to the right for the next point, about 1.5, maybe 2. Let's take 1.5, okay? And the next shape, we'll create the mirror of that basically on the other side. So let's do the same thing, snap it around 2 centimeters and then go 1.5, like so. So as you can see, our edges over here are very sharp. So let's round them up, and we'll go to shape and then stroke for that. And then the line cap right here, just make sure that's set to round cap and you're in good shape. Let's do the same thing for the other two, like so. And awesome, so it's looking great, but there's one problem. Make sure when you create new stuff, make sure that the shape layer is selected. Because if it's not, let me show you what happens. So if it's not selected, you start drawing shapes, it creates a new shape layer, and that's not good. We want to insert shapes inside our selected layer. So let's make sure you select it, and let's create a new one right now. We'll go down about 2.5 centimeters and snap one right about there, and then go to the left 1.5 and then up 2. Okay, and then down 2.5 centimeters. Okay, and we'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So snap it there and go to the left and then down 2.5. And let's round our joints and caps. So let's go to shape here and then stroke, and make sure our line cap or joint is round joint, and then cap is round cap. That's good. Let's repeat the same thing for the other one. Good. Okay. So the next thing we'll do is collapse everything in like so. Just a little housekeeping, and we'll add a repeater to our composition. Like if you go to add, actually you can't see it, so let me pull this up like so, and then go to add and go to repeater and click, and next we'll go inside our repeater and make sure we'll make about 6 copies, and then we'll go into our transform properties, and for position we'll set make sure it's set to 0. And then rotation, we're going to take it up to about 60 degrees. And now you can see it looks more like a snowflake, but there's a problem in this area and also that area right here. So we need to fix it. We'll go into our points here, and let's see if we'll drag it around and see if we can kind of fix it. As you can see, when you move one, all of them move because it's a repeater, which is great. But so let's select one and see how we can fix it. So we can move it around and make it more seamless. But if you hold down Shift on your keyboard, you can and go up, it'll go straight up without going to the left or the right. So like that is pretty good. I'm happy with it. So let's turn off our transparency and also turn on our background. Next, we'll change the color of our snowflake. So make sure you select it and go to stroke color in here and paste it right there. Here's our number, and hit OK when you're done. And that's our snowflake so far. Next, we'll be creating this white snowflake that's going to be revealed before our main one. So let's dive into that one. Okay, so I'm going to collapse everything down here, the contents, and add actually a trim path to our shape layer. And I'm going to drag it down right there. And if I drag the end value, you can see what it does. So it's very powerful. Let's select our everything actually, and Control G to group it. So there you go. And that's our first snowflake, and Control D to duplicate it. We're gonna be working on our white one. So let's drag it down there, and let's change the color of this white one. So let's do stroke color white, okay. And then next, what I'll do is select this and go, actually select group 2 and then go to the size of it. Let's take it down to 13. And if you don't, you'll see a weird, like a 1 white pixel line around the edges. So let me show you what I mean. If I take it back up to 14 pixels, you see that white 1 pixel line. It's not very good. So make sure you keep it down like 1 pixel. So down to 13 is good. Okay, next thing we'll do is collapse everything down, and then actually let's bring in a slider to our shape layer. So slider here, and then drag it down to your shape layer, and we'll duplicate it, Control Z, and we'll label the first one red width and second white width. And what we'll do is basically attach each shape width layer to our slider. So let's do stroke and then alt click on here and then pick whip to the slider red. So make sure it's red. So the stroke width is red. So make sure the width is connected now to that red one. So we'll do the same thing for that one. Stroke width, alt click, and then drag it, and so on, and just do all of them like that for the red one. And essentially what happens, that slider is going to control all of the other width for the red. So that's good. And now if we'll set it to 14, you can see that all of them are working fine. So let's do the same thing for the white one. So collapse it down, and let's go to stroke here, and then width, alt click on the stopwatch and pick whip to the white one this time, and then do the same thing for all the other ones. So make sure it's all white ones though. Okay, looks good. And let's bring it back, and then the width, let's take it down to up to 13. Awesome. So now, as you can see, everything's connected. It's looking good. Okay, so next we'll start animating our snowflake, and I'm going to open everything up here, and we'll be animating the trim paths here for red and white. So for the first one, for the red one, let's set keyframes on the frame 1 for end and offset, and the same thing for the red one here, or white one, I'm sorry. And then select the layer and hit U on your keyboard to reveal your keyframes, and page down 5 times to go down 50 frames, and set keyframes like so. That's good. Next, we'll be playing with the end values on the frame 1. So make sure to take it down to 0 on both white and red. Yeah, so you can see it's given us an interesting animation, which is kind of cool, but we're not done yet. So let's play with the offset value over here on both red and white. So let's go, actually, let's insert negative 270 for the red on the first keyframe, and negative 270 for the white as well. So let's preview that. Now it looks very interesting, as you can see. And let's select our keyframes and F9 on your keyboard to make it easy ease. Okay, so next we're going to show this red snowflake, and we're going to offset our keyframes to do that. So, and right away I can see there's a problem. So let's see, what did we do wrong here? Let's put group 2 on top and see if that fixes it. And I don't think so. Yeah, that's not doing it. So let's go into our group 2 and see where we went wrong. I guarantee it's a keyframe that we missed. So let's see. Yep, the end value is not moving. So let's go to the last frame and make sure that's set to 100%. That's good. And now I can see, I see red. So, and let's move the group 2 back to the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to select the layer and hit U on the keyboard to see my keyframes. I'm going to move these group 1 keyframes 5 frames forward. So I'm going to select them, page down 5 times, like so, and then make sure you snap them like that. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna select my last keyframes and go to my graph editor, Shift F3. Okay, and then I'm gonna select these two, and then just select them like this, and on the handles, just move them about to the left, influence about 70, 76. Okay, and for these forward ones, just make sure you move them to the left until you see the top kind of like up against the wall like that. So that looks good. I'm happy with it, and let's preview that. Yeah, we're almost there, and the only thing we'll have to play with now at this point is with scale and opacity. So I'm going to select my layer and do S and T on my keyboard, and Shift U to see my other keyframes, and let's set keyframes for those. And we'll actually go to the end of our group 2 animation, like right here, and set the scale keyframe right about there. And then we'll set change the first keyframe, scale keyframe, down to 25, so it scales up like this. Next, we'll select our keyframes and hit F9 to make them easy ease. And we'll go into graph editor, where we'll select the last keyframe here, and then Control-Shift-K to go into a velocity, keyframe velocity. We'll change the incoming velocity up to 75 and hit OK when you're done. And then the first keyframe, we'll just drag it down, do the same thing we've done before, just drag it up against the wall like this. And let's preview that. Good, so next we'll do the opacity. So let's go 10th frame here and set a keyframe and take the first one down to 0 and then select them F9 to make them easy ease. And let's preview that. And as you can see, it fades up. All right, so next we'll be focusing on creating this circle with jagged edges. Okay, so next we're gonna add a shape layer into our scene. And inside the shape layer, we're gonna add an ellipse. And inside the ellipse, we're gonna add a stroke. And then change the size up to 3 pixels. And the next, we're gonna add a zigzag. And basically you can see what it does. And we'll drop it right below our stroke. And let's collapse it down. And then we'll set a keyframe for size of our ellipse path on our frame 1. And then take it up to about 14th frame, and then set another keyframe. And let's scale the first one down to 0. And let's take this up to 200. That's good. And then let's do one more keyframe at about 24 right there, yeah, and then scale it down to actually let's do 17, so you can see it's in that circle right there. And so let's take it down here. Let's preview this. Okay. Actually, let's select our keyframes here and hit F9 to make it easy ease. Let's preview that. Yeah, that looks good. So you can see it's kind of snaps there. That's good. So let's set keyframe for a zigzag. Let's scale keyframe right here, and then go forward, and then set another scale keyframe. And let's see this. So the first one's gonna be 0. So it's gonna be like a circle, and then it's gonna get more extreme on the zigzag. So let's take it up to about 8. Okay, it's looking good. And then let's see, let's select them F9 to make it easy ease. And let's create one more keyframe here and take it down to 3 here. So let's see what we got. Okay. Now I'm noticing the timing of it is not that great. So let me go to the original project here, and I'll show you what I mean. So our shape should be kind of activating the center of our snowflake. You see how it's going inside of our snowflake and it explodes out of it. So that's not happening in our composition, but let's change that. Let's go back into it. All we have to do is just move our snowflake layer about 8 frames forward. So let's select it, and then actually let's type here +8 frames, and just drag this forward to there until it snaps. And now if you preview it, you'll see exactly, yeah, we're definitely getting that effect we're going for. So it's looking good. Okay, so I think next I'm just gonna animate the width of our stroke here, and set the keyframe there, and then set another one here down to 2. So it's going from 3 to 2, and let's select them F9, make it easy ease, and let's go into the size here for a second. Let's go to graph editor and clean that up a little bit. So let's go to graph editor right here, and make sure the curves are looking nice. Let's shift stuff around here, something like this, looking smooth. Okay, let's preview that. Yeah, so far it's looking really good. But next, really what we need to do now, so the shape is going inside, and at some point we need to cut it off right here. So we can just cut the layer. We don't need to worry about keyframing. So let's select the layer, and Alt close bracket will cut it off for you. And that's looking good. Okay, let's see. So we got this down. It's looking great. Let's shift this around. I think let's cut it off a bit sooner. Just one frame. Good. Let's preview that. Yeah, it's definitely looking good. We're almost there. All right, so next we'll be focusing on creating these dots coming out of our snowflake. Okay, so we're gonna create a new shape layer into our scene, and we'll go inside there and then add an ellipse again, and then we'll change the size of it down to 20, and then we'll add, let's select the layer and add a fill, and then we'll select the layer again and change the color of this fill, and I'll paste my own number in there, but you can copy it if you want. It's right there. So yeah, copy it and then hit OK when you're done. Okay, so that's looking good. So I'm going to select the layer and hit P and S to bring the position and scale of my shape layer. So set the keyframes, and then go forward to about 1 second mark and set more keyframes. So we kind of have, now we can kind of animate it. So let's take it up, this ball, take it up about, but as you can see, there's like a weird snapping going on. Make sure you turn off your snapping when you do this. If that bothers you, it does bother me, so it's off. Okay, and let's switch the keyframes here, because it needs to go out instead of in. So, and let's keep moving with this ball. Make sure to set it out about maybe, actually I have the exact number, so I'm just gonna type them in here. It's 1300 and 342. Okay, so it comes out like this. It's looking good. Select them, F9 to make it easy ease. And let's go to graph editor here, and let's go to keyframe velocity. You can't see it, but it's right there. And while we're in there, the incoming velocity, we'll change it to 75. Hit OK, and then for this one, let's go again, keyframe velocity, and we'll change the outgoing velocity to 50. Okay, and let's preview that. And you can see it's a very interesting motion. And now let's play with the scale here. So let's take it down to 0, and then go page down, shift page down to 10 frames, and then set that to about 50. And then we'll go forward, and we'll actually have 50, like kind of like a pause there. So if you go page down 6 times right here, and then we'll basically set another keyframe, but we'll copy the 51, select it, copy, Control C, and then Control V and paste it. So essentially we have a pause like in between. So as you can see in the graph. Okay, and then for the last one, we'll just take it down to 0. And then select everything, F9 to make it easy ease. And let's preview that. All right, so it's looking good. So next what I'm gonna do is select the layer and just change the name to ball. And that's good. And then Control-Shift-C to pre-comp it and make sure all the settings are looking good. Yep, that's good. And then change that to balls, hit OK, and we'll go inside there and we'll just do a few things in here. So as you can see, here's our ball, and we're going to duplicate this shape layer a few times, 1, 2, and we'll offset each one to about maybe, let's do like 5 frames. Actually, let's do 4, and then this one 4 as well. So let's make sure it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, page down, okay. And so next, as you can see, it's looking great, but we'll change the color of each. So for the middle one, I already have colors copied, so I'm gonna just paste my number in here and hit OK. It's the same red we've been using. And for the last one, it's just gonna be white. So I'm just gonna drag it down or up there, and that's good. Let's preview that. It's looking great. Awesome. So let's go back into our main comp here. And so it's shooting. So what we're gonna do is pretty much duplicate this for all the other ones. So to do that, we're just gonna select our layer here and Control D to duplicate it, and then hit R on your keyboard to bring the rotation, and we'll just type plus 60, and as you can see, it goes 60 degrees down, and we'll pretty much have to do the same thing for all the other ones. So let's do the same thing, Control D to duplicate it, and do R and do plus 60. And now it's on that, and then do the same thing, Control G, plus 60, and so on. Yeah, it's looking great. So now, if I preview it, it looks great, and we're pretty much almost there. Okay, so let's select the elements we just created, and then hit Control D to duplicate them, and then move the selected up, and shift page down to go 10 frames forward, and then let's shift them 10 frames forward. Okay, and then hit S and scale it down to 45. That's good. Okay, so yeah, it's looking good. Let's look at the animation. I like it. Okay, so next, let's select our layers again and hit R to rotate your elements around. In fact, let's type plus 90 to rotate them 90 degrees. And I like it. As you can see, the balls are going through the V shape, like through the center of it, and that's exactly what I was going for. Let's preview that, and it's looking great. Okay, for this last part, we'll be creating this energetic looking element. Okay, so we're in Illustrator for a second. Select your spiral tool and just click at the center of your, or anywhere on your composition, and this window will pop up, and just make sure all the numbers are exactly as you're seeing it. And once you're done, just hit OK, and then select the shape and just hit Control C on your keyboard to copy it. Okay, so we're back in After Effects. Control Y to create a new solid. Let's label that 3D stroke. Hit OK. And next we'll apply the 3D stroke effect by Trapcode. So 3D stroke effect. And let's apply that to our solid. Solo the solid. And now we'll play with, actually let's paste the shape we just copied from Illustrator. Control V to paste it. Next, what we'll do is let's select the solid and then go into the 3D stroke here and then disable the use all paths and then select the right mask, which is the one we just pasted. Good. So now we'll hit M on our keyboard and then go into mask here and then make sure we center the shape we just pasted. That's about good. So it spirals into the center. That's good. Double click on it and let's slightly rotate it. That's good. Okay, so now we're going to play with the thickness, take it down to about 4, actually maybe 5. Okay, and let's start animating the start and end. So let's set keyframes on frame 1, and let's hit U on our keyboard to reveal the keyframes. Let's go page down or shift page down to go 10 frames, and let's bring this up to 100 for both. Okay, and select them and do F9 to do easy ease. And if you preview this, nothing happens because it kind of cancels each other out. So we definitely need to offset some keyframes here. So let's drag it in right away. As I'm offsetting it, you can see that the tail is growing. So let's let's shrink that down some. Okay, not too bad. Let's keep working at it, adding more details. So let's go into the 3D stroke here. And let's adjust actually go to taper and enable that. Good. And we can play around with, end thickness, start thickness. Just play around, see what we can get. Let's preview that. Actually, the thickness should be on the other side. So let's drag that out to the other side, like so. Not too bad. It's looking good so far. Okay. Awesome. So now let's compare that to our animation here. Let's see how that goes. Right away, we definitely need to scale down. So let's select our solid here and hit S. And let's scale that down some. Okay, so I'm going to select the layer and duplicate it. So I'm going to have hit R on the keyboard and 180 to flip it, basically. So I'm going to have two same kind of things happening on the opposite side of each other. So that's good. And I'm going to make it actually reveal U to read my keyframes, and I'm gonna shrink the tail a little bit, bring it to the left some. Awesome. And I'll thicken the strokes up a little bit. Let's take it up to 8 maybe, and the same thing for the other one. That's good. Let's see what else we can adjust here. Let's scale it some. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's bring the keyframes back, U, and then I'm going to actually take it back to where it was before, like that. Yeah, it looks good. And then actually I'm going to select my keyframes, go to speed graph, and then adjust it slightly there. Good. Okay, let's select these and just shift them slightly. I think we're pretty much there. All right, this is the end of our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching it. And again, I want to thank my friends over at videosmile.ru and Mikhail Bychkov for allowing me to do this. I really had a blast working on it. So yeah, and definitely like this video, share it, post it. And if you would like to have the project file of this tutorial, you can download it at ukromedia.com. Make sure to look for the link in the description of this video. Also, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to this channel. And yeah, until next time, my name is Sergey Prokhnevsky, and this is ukromedia.com.